I'm Kaitlyn Bristowe. Your session is now starting. Welcome to the Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And it's so nice to meet you. I know most people know you as Spirit Daughter on Instagram and quite a popular following, which I love because I'm hilarious because I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm so into it at the same time. And so I love having experts on to kind of walk me through things because I just find it so fascinating. But for those who might not know your story, can you share a bit about your journey from kind of how you started playing with crystals as a teen to becoming the founder of Spirit Daughter? How did you get here?
I think I was, one of those people that I'm naturally like an introvert, even though I do have this large following and I do show up in in-person events and, do stories and stuff. And I'm very social, but I am very introverted. And so as a teenager, I was very introverted and I would read a lot of books and I was very lost in some ways. I was not challenged at school. I really couldn't find my peer group. I was horrible at every sport possible. It was terrible. So I just didn't really fit in anywhere in high school.
Yeah.
And so I ended up finding my way to really cool mystical bookshops and finding books on astrology and crystals and meeting those witchy women in their Stevie Nicks skirts, ran the shop that would kind of guide me to this book or that book, and in a way served as my mentors. There was no internet at this time. We're talking this was 1996. I was 16. Right. I would literally sit and draw charts, hand draw them.
Wow.
And I had so much fun. I learned all the symbols. And it was just this fun game for me, to figure out everything and then just study it. And I just loved studying anything that could help me understand humans and consciousness. I just this natural fascination of why are we here? What the hell are we doing? Why do we think this way? Why am I this way? Why are they that way? What's going on here? And that's ultimately what led me to psychology, because my parents were you're going to college.
Yeah.
So psychology was the closest thing I could find that was parent approved, but still kind of artsy and creative and expansive enough for me. And so I went on to study psychology, and I immediately knew I was not going to be a clinical psychologist. I'm not a therapist. So the alternative to that is research. So I went into research psychology and went down that rabbit hole. And, I was so excited for my first class in consciousness, and I wanted to study human consciousness. And I was super into Tim Leary and just, understanding a consciousness, even from psychedelics and from different avenues. And I get into my consciousness class, and the first line in the book is there is no way we can study or define consciousness. And I'm why am I here?
Just defeated immediately.
So defeated immediately. And so I just ended up kind of trying to find my way, and I ended up being okay, well, I'm gonna figure this out in the brain, where's consciousness in the brain. And so I ended up in neuroscience, and that led me down a track where I received my master's degree. And then, I dove in even deeper. I was researching and working at Johns Hopkins as a neurogenetics researcher. And so I was studying fear conditioning patterns and all kinds of interesting, really interesting topics, but it just wasn't for me. And I was about to start a doctoral program, and I was I can't do this. I just can't do this. This is not who I am. I don't want to spend my life researching and playing the game of getting research grants and this and that. And I loved writing, and I loved teaching. And I was well, I can do that anywhere with anything. And so I left research, I left academia, and I didn't know what to do with myself. And I got really stressed out because at this point I was on fire, I was so type A, and I was I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I have my fellowship and my stipend and going here and there. And, I had this plan laid out. And so I was I don't know what I'm doing. And I had a mild nervous breakdown. And then I just started doing yoga all the time. I literally just needed to breathe.
Yeah.
And so that practice of yoga really brought me home to myself. And so I brought out my astrology books again and my crystals, and I dove like back in, and that's when I went on to study like Chinese medicine, understand that. And I took courses in all kinds of different things like Reiki. And, I ended up getting my teacher training in yoga, and I studied different types of anatomy and Ayurvedic science. And I just like dove into all kinds of things. And, I was just like, okay, there's like different ways to learn about and like pinpoint humans and how we think and why we think than something that can be proved in a lab.
Right.
And I had been so focused on like proving something in a lab. I was like, I don't really need to prove anything. Like, I know what's real and I can figure this out. My intuition will lead me to the right answers. And then there's all these other sciences that, provide a lens. And so I started like just viewing things and viewing being human and consciousness from like all these different lenses that you can put on, and you can see, the human archetypes in different ways. And so I dove into that for like a decade of just studying various things with no real focus or track, or, I didn't know what I was doing with my life. All my friends were like getting married and 401k. I'm like, I don't have a 401k. I have no idea.
No, but I love this because I feel like all of that background and everything you did is like definitely influencing what you do now. And you were able to step back and go, this is not what I want to do. Let me have a mental breakdown and figure it out, and like let something guide me to where I'm supposed to be. Because a lot of people will just, suffer in their day to day and not figure out what they really want to do. And you really followed kind of your heart on that one.
Yeah. And I had no idea like what I was going to do. And I ended up becoming like a yoga teacher just because I was doing so much yoga. My yoga teacher was like, you should become a yoga teacher. Right. So I was like, well, this will work for now. And I always knew it was like a for now thing, and not that there's anything wrong with having a career, lifelong career and teaching yoga. Like I knew that wasn't my path, but I also just knew that like it was something I could do 10 hours a week, make some money, and, figure it out. And so I just kept like exploring. I took like journalism courses, and I took photography courses, and I took drawing courses. Like it was just, I did all those like seemingly random things, and with no idea of like how it was going to add up, if it was going to add up. I just let myself really experiment and like try on different identities, and like, do I want to be this type of person? Do I want to do this every day? What do I really want to do? And I think at one point I had it like dialed down to like, I just want to like meditate every day, read, write, and like do some yoga. I was like, if I could do those 4 things, like that's fine. And so I started teaching a lot of yoga, and that led me eventually to teaching new moon circles, because I always had this passion for the new moon in particular, and the full moon. I love the full moon. I just think the full moon gets like all the press.
You're right. You're right. Who is the full moon's PR? They get all the press.
They get all the press. I mean, it's big, beautiful. Everybody, oh, look at the moon. And I love the full moon. But the new moon, there's something so magical about the new moon. I started really doing a lot of new moon and full moon practices myself. And I found so much magic on the new moon. And I was going through a healing journey at this time as well. I have a previous marriage and all of these. I'm currently married with my 2 kids, and it's my second marriage. My previous marriage was like very traumatic and tumultuous, and left a lot of wounds and a lot of tears. And so I was doing a very deep healing journey. And, I've just found the new moon to be so healing, so quiet, this like time to check in with myself. I could really hear my intuition. I could think about like what I really wanted, what I wanted to work on. It was like, okay, I'm going to work on this for 4 weeks. It's like manageable. It's not like, oh, I'm, right now and I love setting intentions for the year. And I'm telling a lot of people to think about that. But at that time in my life where I was like living day to day, I was like in survival mode because I was in this healing journey. 4 weeks just felt like manageable. It was like this bite size. Okay, like it's the new moon. What am I going to do until the next new moon? I'm just going to worry about these 4 weeks right in front of me.
I like that.
And so I took that to the community, and I started holding new moon circles and full moon circles, mostly new moon circles in Santa Monica. And I started just seeing the same people coming over and over again. and really seeing some impact and changes in their lives, and like the stories of what they were creating, manifesting, how they were using these practices to set intentions and write affirmations. And I was like, this is great. Like, this is gold. I need to bottle this and sell it.
Yes, truly. So you did.
So I did.
That's awesome. And that kind of led you into like the world of like, was Instagram around at the time?
Yeah, Instagram was there. I started the account Spirit Daughter, and I started it like just as a page of inspiration. Like during a lot of my healing journey, I would turn to Facebook and I would see like quotes, and the quote would just change my whole day. Like it was just this really interesting phenomenon. And I was like, I feel like I'm at a point where I want to do that. And so I started the Instagram account in 2016, and it was, a lot of inspiration, inspiring quotes, and, information about the moon, the new moon. And I just wanted to get all that out there. I wanted an outlet for the inspiration I was feeling, the healing that was coming out of me. And I wanted to give it over to the world.
Well, I have to tell you, you changed my day today with your Instagram story, because I have been in such a funk, because every year I always think about what I could do next, and like what I can achieve. And I've done it. And I keep being so lost of what I want to do. And you said on the Instagram, like, think about this year, how you want to feel. And that like shifted something inside of me where I was like, oh my God, I need to stop focusing on what I want to do and accomplishments and like hitting goals. I want to think about how I really want to feel this year. And that made me feel just like this year is more doable. And I've just been feeling so overwhelmed with what's next, instead of feeling like at peace and celebrating what I already have and then thinking about how I want to feel. And so something just switched in my brain right before I came on this call. And I was like, I was supposed to see that. I was supposed to be talking to her. I have the moon tattooed on me. I named my house after the moon. I want to learn more about numerology too, because I have to admit that sometimes I get confused between angel numbers and numerology. So today's date, would that be more of an angel number, or is that meaning to it like numerology, or are they the same?
They're the same and different.
Okay.
Right. So numerology, the fundamental numerology is based on your birth date.
Okay.
And so you have a number, you have a life path number based on your birth date. It depends on what system you're looking at, but 1 through 11, some people will include 22 and 33 as master numbers. But basically, if you're adding up the digits of your birth date, including the year, you break it all down, and then you go down further. Like, so say you end up with like 23, just there, you would go 2 plus 3 is 5, and that would be your life path number, right? And so if you end up with 11, you're 11. You wouldn't break down to 2.
Got it.
Right?
Yes.
So you have that number, and that's when the classic numerology will talk about that. And then that's also when we talk about the universal year. So 2024 is a universal 8 year. So we add up 2, 0, 2, and 4, and we get 8. And so that's the universal year. It's an 8 year, which is a year of empowerment, by the way. So I'm kind of excited about it. Last year was the 7 year, and I really felt the 7.
What was the 7?
Like the hermit. It's like the hermit. It's really like the number of the mystic. But like, what does the mystic do? The mystic's got to like go in a cave and like figure it all out, So there was this like hermit, go into your cave, figure it all out type energy last year. And then this year is like the year to step out of the cave, step into your power, take some action, believe in yourself, feel empowered to shift and change your life. So there's a real outward energy this year and a real empowering energy, which is cool. I felt the shift immediately. And I don't know if it's like one of those self-fulfilling prophecies that I kind of like knew to expect it. But all of a sudden this year, I'm like, we're doing this and we're doing that. And I feel really empowered to implement these changes and put this out in the world and that out in the world. And last year I was like, just leave me alone. I'm figuring it out.
Interesting. Yeah. That's so interesting. I feel like I was 7, but I feel like I was coming into an 8 before the new year happened, and now I'm like back in a 7, but have hopes of an 8. Is that normal? It's probably because I'm sick, though.
It's probably because you're sick. You might be. A lot of times, too, when we're sick, I find it's almost like a healing crisis, like we're detoxifying something. So you may be bringing something up or clearing something from your system that's going to clear the way to that 8 and that personal empowerment.
I do feel like that. Like I feel, even though like, of course I've had a fever and I'm sick, so I'm sweating, but something inside of me feels like I'm like shedding something, like I'm detoxifying and getting rid of something. And I've been trying to think about it like that. So maybe I just need to have the patience because I never slow down, and this is forcing me to slow down, and then I can, get going again. Who else is hoping for less stress this year? Okay. One thing I am constantly stressed about and takes up way too much of my mental space is the never ending question of what am I going to do for dinner tonight? Well, Factor's ready to eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success. I really want to eat more home cooked meals. So Factor's no prep, no mess meals make it easier for me to do that with my busy schedule. You can get chef crafted, dietitian approved meals delivered right to your door. We all know I love convenience, and with over 35 meals to choose from per week, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options. They give options like keto, calorie smart, vegan, veggie, and more. So forget those frantic dinner preps on a busy night or ordering takeout because you don't feel like cooking. Factor's 2-minute meals are your secret to less stress over meals this year. I can't even imagine how perfect it would be for families, all delivered right to your door. Plus, you'll save $1 or $2 because Factor is cheaper than takeout. So when things get hectic, Factor is flexible. Change your order up every week with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week. And in addition to the ready-to-eat meals, they have cold pressed juices, smoothies, energy bites, extra protein, veggie sides, and more. Head to factormeals.com/vine50 and use code vine50 to get 50% off. That's code vine50 at factormeals.com/vine50 to get 50% off.
Angel numbers focus a lot on repeating numbers. So like 11, right? So we're looking at they almost like take the numerology numbers and turn them into signs. And really they're like, that's why they're called angel numbers, because they're guides or signs from your angel guides. And a lot of times like you'll see them on a clock, right? Like when you see 111 on a clock or 1212 on a clock, that kind of thing. And so the angel numbers are based in numerology. Numerology, like the fundamental principles are your birth date and like adding up dates and numbers that way. And then angel numbers kind of take it one step further. And they're like, well, if you see these like repeating numbers and they're signs of something. I find it completely fascinating that the first new moon of 2024 is today in Capricorn, and it's on 111. The last new moon of 2023 in Sagittarius was on 12/12. And like, to me, I'm just like, and I'm not like a huge angel number person, to be honest. Like, I think they're interesting, but like, I think everything's kind of interesting. So yeah. But this I find like really fascinating because 12/12 is the number of completion. It's the number of wholeness. It's the ending of a cycle. It represents like this is over. This is complete, and not like in a bad way. Like it's just fulfilled its purpose. It's time to move on. And so 111, which, is today with this first new moon of the year, which is like this portal in itself to set intentions for the whole year, decide how you want to feel, right? Base your intentions. So it's not about goal setting, right? It's about like, okay, how do I want to feel? What is going to support that? What intentions are going to support that? What vision is going to support that? What habits are going to support that? That's why like tomorrow we're starting this inspired habits course, because that's all about, okay, what habits are going to help you become the person you need to be to feel the way you want to feel, to create your vision step by step, to embrace the underlying identity of your intentions.
So you have a course that people can sign up for to do this?
I do have a course that people can sign up for. It's called Inspired Habits, and it starts tomorrow.
Amazing.
And it works with this new moon today. And so people can write their intentions today with the new moon, and that's all in the Capricorn workbook, the new moon intention setting practice. And so you can set your intentions, and then the course is 28 days. It starts tomorrow, and it guides people in creating these like small shifts, like small daily shifts to embrace positive energy habits and break negative ones. And it's kind of funny because I really drew on, without realizing it, a lot of the stuff I researched way back when
Of
with
course.
like conditioning and understanding things like cue and craving and like learned response. And it's like we're wired like that. These are patterns, right? So these habits are patterns, and understanding it that way makes it a little bit easier to say, okay, when this happens, I do this, and like how do I want to shift it? And so the course really works with that, and it's built around that idea of, you have this intention, you have this vision, you have this way you want to feel. Who do you need to become? What do you have to do each day to really embody that? Because we set these goals, we set these intentions, we create these visions, and then it's like, okay, how do I get there?
Right. Oh, I get overwhelmed by
And
it all the
really,
time.
yeah, it's the incremental shifts. It's like these tiny things that could take seconds, minutes, a day. And then you add them up over the course of a year. And it's like, whoa, I'm not the same person anymore. That's amazing. And we often see like huge transformations, and it's like it's these tiny things that cause it.
It's so important for me to be able to think like that because I'm a person who gets easily overwhelmed by like really big tasks. But when I break something down and get one little thing done, I realize how much better I feel after. And then I realize what a small shift can do just throughout a day. So I'm totally signing up for this course because I feel like it's right up my alley. I'm in this place in my life where I'm like, I need to start having a more positive mindset, thinking about how I want to feel and actually doing them, because over the years I feel like I've been so good at like manifesting and thinking about what I want and achieving my goals, and like I said earlier, now I'm just in this place where I really want to understand myself and how I want to feel, because I think that will lead me to my next goal that I might not even know what it is. That could be
Mm-hmm.
meeting somebody, that could be a family, that could be a next career change. I'm not sure, but figuring out how I want to feel is going to get me there. So for a new moon, and you're saying like to think about all these intentions, is writing them down the best way to do the work?
Yeah, I think right. I mean, I think that it depends on you. You can do it a couple different ways, and I've instructed people in different ways. I really like to instruct people to like create a scene in their mind, like you're watching a movie, and then actually like write it down in detail, like what you're doing, what you're wearing. We use all your senses. What are you smelling? What are you feeling? As if you're watching yourself. And again, this is where that identity comes in, because then later on you're like, okay, who is that person that I like? What do they do every day, right?
Right.
But you watch the scene, and then I do think really writing it down. I have a meditation that I really love that I will instruct people to kind of daydream and like really get into this state where it's almost like a lucid dreaming state where they can watch that scene unfold and then kind of let it unfold, let it unravel in front of them, so that they really
Mm-hmm.
are allowing their intuition to come through. Because a lot of times when we're creating this scene, it's like from our ego, and you really do want to get into a more meditative state where you can allow your intuition, your higher self, to come in and sort of show you what's possible and the potential that's available to you. Because we don't always know, like we think we know, but that's really like our ego attachments that are like, I want to be this person, and I want to do this, and I want to have this identity. And really, like, we are connected to everything through our higher self. So we're connected to the entire universe, and our higher self like understands our overall life path. And it may tell us like, yeah, you may think you want that, but actually this other thing is
Yeah.
going to be what helps you feel the way you want to feel,
Yeah.
what aligns with your energy, what is going to make you feel you're fulfilling your life's mission, right? And so that's why I always bring it back to like, how do you want to feel? Like, how do you want to feel day to day? Like, what is that feeling that you want, and what's the life that's going to support that? And that's where some of the answers may surprise you, because it may not be what your ego mind thinks you want. Maybe something entirely different.
I have the hardest time separating my ego from my higher self, because I get confused all the time, because I think I want one thing, but if I really meditate on it and I think about, like, I used to at 11:11, if I saw it twice a day, I'd always wish for like specific things, and I've, without even realizing it, shifted to wanting to feel a certain way. I didn't even realize I was already doing that, but I was being like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what I want anymore. I just want to feel this way. I want to feel happy. I want to feel at peace. And so sometimes when I meditate on what I want, I think I want all these big things and go after this. And then my ego goes, yes, that's what you want. And then my like higher self is like, well, I don't think that would really make you happy. And then I like don't know which one to listen to, which I probably do at the end of the day. But how does one actually feel connected to their higher self? Because I feel like that's something that most people wouldn't think they could achieve.
Yeah, meditating, yoga, that all helps, I think. And understanding what your ego attachments are and why. I'm also a huge fan of shadow work. I think that all that's the foundation of all of this is shadow work. And so really getting in and understanding your shadows and what you're disconnecting from. And so, where do you feel shame? Where do you feel you have to hide something about yourself? And how is that informing like what you desire, right? And so a lot of times we'll like desire something, your ego will desire something that actually enables our shadow. And so it helps us feel that we're like fitting in or something like that. Like a lot of times our shadow can be formed when we're younger and we're like trying to fit in with somebody. And so, or a group, like I feel like a lot of shadows probably get formed in high school, because we're like trying to fit in with a certain group. And so we disconnect from a part of ourselves that doesn't quote unquote fit in. And so we never actually find true belonging. And then our ego will want to keep enabling that shadow. And so our ego will desire things that help us maintain that identity of fitting in and helps us stay disconnected to our truth that we buried in our shadow and disconnected from.
Wow, that's so true.
Yeah. So I think shadow work is just so key.
Yeah.
And what some of the hardest work you could do. And like I have a course on it, which I love. We run it during Scorpio season and people love it. I also think it's like one of those things, like if you're going to get a therapist, like that's what you get a therapist for, is for shadow work.
I totally agree. That's like one of the first things I worked on with a therapist. I'm going to say like 13 years ago now. And I still to this day have to work on it. Like it feels like an ongoing thing that I'll constantly have to work at is shadow work. I feel like it's something that like I've benefited from working on for that long and then still have to go back and work on it more. Like I have therapy tomorrow and this just reminded me to go back and do some more shadow work. So it's really helping me today.
ClearStem Skincare is a revolutionary skincare brand that is both anti-aging and anti-acne with zero known hormone disruptors. Now, if you've ever dealt with breakouts, then you know that acne products dry and damage the skin, but then anti-aging products break you out because of the thick, pore-clogging fillers they use. And that's until ClearStem. So founders Danielle and Kaylee have created a solution. They know their clients and the world deserved better. So both being in their 30s and extremely acne prone, they decided to make a non-toxic line that targets acne and wrinkles simultaneously. I actually recorded a full episode with them in November that you can go back and listen to if you want to know everything about skincare and acne care. They're skincare gurus, and I learned so much from them. They're educated about the real acne triggers that you will never hear talked about in a dermatologist's office. I started using their Bounce Back No Botox serum recently, and it's actually probably my favorite of their products right now. My skin looks brighter, feels smoother already, and it smells so good. I'm a sucker for things that smell good. It works on all skin types, dry, oily, or mixed, so you don't have to worry about the breakout. And their formulas keep winning award after award, and let me tell you, the hype is real. You need to try it. So visit clearstemskincare.com and use my code OFFTHEVINE for 20% off. Okay, this is something I've noticed recently. When I'm having a good hair day, my mood is instantly boosted. Is that sad? I don't care. I'm just more confident. I don't feel like a potato. I just go out and crush the day. Just love a good hair day. So if you're like me and you want a quick solution, well, you can get on your way to a good hair day in just 5 minutes with Ouai's new hair gloss. Not only does the hair gloss give you immediate shine straight from the shower, but the hair gloss is made with hyaluronic acid and rice water, which provides immediate shine, helps treat damage, and enhances color vibrancy to get your hair looking and feeling healthier. And they have this consumer data to back it up. According to the Consumer Perception Study, over 85% of participants agree that their hair looked shinier, healthier, and smoother. So get your shine on in the shower with Ouai's new hair gloss. I also really like their detox shampoo. Cleanses product buildup, hard water deposits, dirt, oil, and other impurities in my hair. And scalp hair care is where it's at. So if you're looking for more hair products, check that out too. Give your hair the glow up with Ouai. Go to theouai.com and use promo code VINE for 15% off any product. That's the way, theouai.com, promo code VINE.
I wanted to go back to the like life pattern numbers.
Right.
So like you get the number 8 from adding 2024 year 2024, but can you use that method for other aspects of life, like a phone number, a birthday, a street address? Do you believe like numbers show up everywhere?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can use it for a birth date. So I do believe numbers show up everywhere. I love numbers. I actually use this other system of numerology called Cards of Destiny. It's also called like Order of the Magi, where everybody has a card. So like playing cards, like for instance, I'm the Jack of Diamonds, and that has a number associated with it. So I'm like a huge number fan, first of all. And I do think you can use like street addresses. Like when I moved into my house, when you added up, the address is 9. And I almost didn't buy the house because it was 9. And I was like, telling my husband, I'm like, it's a 9 house, and he's a 9, like one of his numbers is 9. And I was like, well, you'll resonate really well with it. I don't know how I will. But so 9 is like the number of like destruction and rebuilding. So it like breaks everything down to the foundation, destroys it, crumbles it, so it can be rebuilt better. And I'm like, I don't know. And then lo and behold, we are tearing our entire house down and rebuilding it.
Stop it. Are you really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just like, and we didn't plan to, like we planned to just like do an addition. But the way LA permitting is and blah, 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 like that's what ended up happening. And so now it's like years of our life of literally tearing our house down and completely rebuilding. And I'm like, I told you when we moved into a 9 house, this is what was going to happen.
Oh my gosh, you were right. That's so crazy. Like, so my birthday is June 19th, 85. So does that, I think that equals 12. I think I did it earlier.
3. I'm getting 3 on that.
Oh, I'm 3. Oh yeah, because I guess 1 plus 2, 12. 1, yes, okay. I get it then. And what does 3 mean?
3 tends to be like energy coming in from multiple directions, right? So when you think of the numbers, you have 1 is like straight, like an arrow flying, right? Very direct. And 2 is like the energy starts communicating with each other. And then 3, it's a very creative number. It's also very charming. But, you know, it's like everything in your life comes in from multiple directions. So that's going to look like multiple businesses, multiple streams of income, multiple sources of creativity, multiple methods of inspiration. You know, everything's going to kind of come to you, not in the scattered, chaotic fashion, but it can feel that way sometimes. So it can feel that like energy is just like always flying at you from different directions. And then it's up to you to kind of find your center and bring it and integrate it all together.
Wow. That makes a lot of sense. I feel like that is so me.
It's also very social because it's like that very social, you're a great person to party with.
I really am. That I will agree with. I feel like I do have like things and energy and everything coming at me all at once, and I get so overwhelmed by it, and I do really need to find my center. And then I feel like I'm very social and I love to party, but I also recharge by myself, and like that's just how I recharge, is I need alone time.
Yeah, it's good.
I also have a question of what does it even mean when the moon is in Capricorn? Like we're coming into a new moon in Capricorn. What does Capricorn mean?
Right. So, you know, we all have our sun sign, like your Gemini sun. So the sun was in Gemini when you were born, right? The moon today is in Capricorn for the new moon. And so the moon is in Capricorn and the sun is also in Capricorn. And so what causes a new moon is when the sun and the moon are together in the sky. They're at the exact same degree in the sky. And so today the sun and the moon are at the exact same degree, or they were for a moment in time, in Capricorn. And so we have the new moon, sun and moon together in Capricorn. The moon changes signs every 2.5 days.
Okay.
Moves more quickly than the sun. So the sun changes signs, you know, every 29, 30 days. And the moon's like 2.5 days. So it goes around the zodiac, you know, every 29.5 days.
Got it. Okay. So if a new moon is in your sign, does that mean something? So like for Capricorns, or like if a new moon was in Gemini, does it mean something for them specifically?
Yeah. And it does mean something for them because the sun is also in their sign. And so they're around their solar return, they're around their birthday. But it also is like a more potent time to have new beginnings, right? New moon is new beginnings. And so if your moon or your sun, because we have a moon sign as well, if your moon or sun is in the same sign as the new moon, then for you, it's a more intense time emotionally, for one.
Okay.
You might feel things a little bit more. And then it is sort of that more potent time to sit down and ground and open up a new chapter, new opportunities, launch a new project, anything new that is coming your way. Or if you're picking a date, right, that like to launch something, that's the date you're going to pick.
In addition to new moons and full moons, are there notable dates throughout the year that we should be aware of astrologically?
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of dates. I'm actually doing a whole astro forecast in a week from now,
cool.
Which is all over my Instagram, like the sign up for that. So I'm going to do like a whole hour talk on Zoom. We may have like blown through Zoom's capability at this point, so I might have to find somewhere else to host it. But basically, the big things happening are we have Pluto entering Aquarius when the sun enters Aquarius. So Aquarius season, January 20th is the start of Aquarius season. So that's when the sun shifts from Capricorn into Aquarius. That's also when Pluto enters Aquarius. This sets the stage for the next 2 decades.
Whoa.
And so this is a really big deal. Yeah, the outer planets take a longer time. So the longer it takes for a planet to change signs, meaning to rotate around the sun and return back to like where they were. Like Pluto hasn't been in Aquarius for 248 years or something like that.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I know. So we're coming to this whole return of Pluto back to Aquarius. And so it really makes a large impact. So it's going to be there for 20 years. It has a little retrograde in November at the end of the year, but after that, it will be stationed in Aquarius for 20 years. So when we're looking at this energy, we're looking at energy for 20 years. This is really impacting society.
How do you prep for 20 years?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You're like, take my course to find out.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're looking at, so Pluto is power, right? So we're dealing a lot with power this year because we've got the 8, which is a power. Pluto is power. Aquarius is the collective. So we're really looking at like power to the people, which, Pluto is leaving Capricorn, which Capricorn was like systems and government. So we dealt with like a lot of with like power and the government and systems and even like banking systems. And I think that's why like the last, not 20 years, but, pretty much since I think like 2008, like the banking systems have just been like under this huge upheaval, and there's been like power struggles within those systems and financial systems. And so that's all very Capricorn. When we're looking at Pluto and Aquarius, we're looking at like breaking out of those government systems. We're looking at Aquarius as the people. So and you're looking at how your personal power can really contribute to the collective in changing things. This is when a lot of unexpected shifts happen with Pluto and Aquarius. This is when we could see different inventions happen, different things being discovered. I think Uranus itself was like discovered while Pluto was in Aquarius. So like we're looking at different things, which is the ruler of Aquarius. So we're looking at inventions and discoveries that are going to change the collective. And so we can expect
now, does that scare you or excite you?
I think change is exciting. I think transformation is exciting.
Okay.
I think that when we say the world is going to be totally different in 20 years, it is scary because we have this collective paradigm that world change means horrible things.
Right.
But we want to see things change and shift. Like we don't want them to stay the same. True. And so we don't know what the journey is going to be like, and that can be a little scary. But I think we need to overall trust that the journey will ultimately lead us to the transformations we need as a collective to really shift and change, because it does feel as a collective we're on a tipping point.
Yeah.
And there is a huge opportunity. We're at a critical mass, right? And there's people who are awakening, and then there's power struggles. There's the old paradigm trying to live and assert its power. And we really are at this tipping point.
Do you think the power is going to go to the right people? Like, I mean this in a way, like a girl that I talk to always talks about your chakras and moving into different chakras. And she's saying that like there is this shift that's going to happen, a paradigm shift where those ladder climbing people, those people that are just like doing anything to get to the top, like that won't necessarily work for them anymore. And it's the people who have the good hearts that will come through and get the power. Do you believe that?
I don't necessarily know if it's like the people with the good hearts that are going to come through. I would like to believe that.
Yeah, me too.
I would love to believe that.
Me too.
We're already starting to see a shift, like you're saying, in transparency, where it's like very clear when people don't have good motives and they don't have good intentions. There's no more hiding. There's no more lying that's available to us. And I think part of that is this like age of technology and communication, and everything is shared, and we know what everybody's doing and how they're doing it and when they're doing it. And then there is the piece of the higher vibration. And I think that there's a lot of people doing a lot of work on themselves to raise their vibration, to reach for higher frequencies like love, like compassion. A rising tide lifts all ships, right? So that's what I mean by a critical mass. And so if there's enough people who are raising their vibration and who are awakening and who are meditating and who are working on their shadows, right? Shadow work, huge consciousness changer, right? So we're elevating our consciousness. We're reaching for a higher level of consciousness. And the more people who do that, they'll bring the rest of the group up with them.
I love that.
It's like, the people who are rising will take everybody with them. And so even people who want to exist in a lower vibration or are attached to their ego, like won't have any choice, because eventually the vibrations will be so high around them, they'll have to rise to meet it.
Okay, I love that. I'm ending on that note because that just like I need to believe that. I'm telling you, there's something in me that I'm going through. Like I've been depressed. I've been like depleted. I'm getting sick. I feel like I'm just like getting rid of all this negative energy. And a big part of what I'm doing and a big part of my therapy tomorrow is literally letting go of ego. And I really want to enter that like higher vibration. And so this was just like everything I needed today. I was sick and I was like, I don't care. I can't wait to talk to her. I feel like you are doing the Lord's work. In another lifetime, I will come back as you, because you're literally everything you said that you did through your life. I'm like, that is so cool. I love it. I love following you. And I can't wait to take your course and share it with everybody on this new moon.
Yeah, perfect. Wonderful. Well, I can't wait to see you there, and happy new moon. And just remember, 111, you're at the right place at the right time.
I love that.
So if you're watching this, you're hearing it exactly when you need to hear it.
And I really feel that. Like I'm walking away from this podcast being like, I don't even know what it was. I'm like, I feel better.
Good. That's what I'm here for.
Tell everybody where they can find you and your courses and everything so we can share that as well.
You can find me on Instagram at Spirit Daughter. Website is spiritdaughter.com. You'll find the workbooks there, the courses, everything you want for your journey.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. That was so wonderful to connect with you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Kaitlyn Bristowe. Your session is now ending. And if I'm being honest, I wouldn't mind a rating and review.